Hello and welcome to this FPL Game Week 30 AI team reveal with me, Holly Shand. We've played the free hit last week. It didn't end too badly. One free transfer coming up and lots to think about with double Game Week 34 now announced. Give this one a like and subscribe to the channel. Let's get into it. As always then, we're going to be looking at the predicted points for each player over the next 5 game weeks by position. So this does encompass that double Game Week 34, starting with goalkeepers. And Raya is back in the mix, having had the game he was ineligible for and then a blank. He's back on top, 24.1 predicted points over the next 5 game weeks. Of course, 6 fixtures in there for Arsenal. I guess a lot of managers, particularly once the City game is out the way, will be looking to triple up on Arsenal assets. It's whether you want to use one of those precious 3 spots on a goalkeeper. I guess that's the big sticking point for me. We've also got as a budget option at 3.8 million, Kelleher, Liverpool. He's a bit of a gem now. Remember, Liverpool also a double, and they've got great fixtures generally in the next 5 game weeks as well. So he's another option to consider. I guess there's no surprise here that all of those goalkeepers that have got a double Game Week 34 feature quite highly in this top 10, and that's going to be a common trend through each of the positions. Moving on to defenders then, and Gabriel cannot be shifted, 25.8 predicted points over the next 5 game weeks. In fact, all 4 of Arsenal's regular backline feature in this top 10, the top 6 in fact. Kyrgios is obviously the budget option. There is a little bit of a risk that he could lose his pace. Zinchenko been out for a while. Surely he will get some minutes at some point. Who knows? So that's something to consider in there. Liverpool assets featuring pretty highly as well. We've got Virgil and Gomez in this top 10. Question marks on whether when Trent Alexander-Arnold will be back, how that will affect Bradley. He's not really a player that you can buy now and fully rely on to still be first choice when it comes to that double Game Week 34. If you want in a budget option, say you're on wildcard this week, then Wolves, Ryan, 8 Nori, 4.5 million, 21.4 predicted points, doubles in 34. Got a few goals this calendar year, in fact. So he's definitely one to consider if you're looking for the best of the rest in this defender's top 10. Into the midfield then, and it's a rarity to see that the top predicted player over the next 5 game weeks isn't Erling Haaland, but is in fact Mo Salah. 44.9 predicted points over the next 5 game weeks, definitely helped by that double in 34. He's got 6 fixtures to Haaland's 5. And this feels like absolutely the time to jump back on board Salah. He was a big differential at the start of the season. He's going to have great utility for captaincy over the coming game weeks, including this weekend as well. So I would definitely be trying to find a route to get him back in, whether that's using a wild card or transfers. No surprise to see Saka here as well. His prediction slightly dented by the yellow flag that he's got on the website at the moment. Let's see how that pans out come Friday. And then Eze, a surprise place in number 3. Obviously, Palace, one of those teams that do double in Game Week 34 under new manager. You know, he's had his injury issues this season, but hopefully he can go on a nice run in this final 9 game weeks of the season. He's one to monitor, that's for sure. Now, that sees other players slip down the rankings. We've got quite a lot of Arsenal players in here. We've got Martinelli, Odegaard and Havertz all making the top 10. We've also got Diaz. But when you look at the likes of Son, De Bruyne, Foden, who were well up in those top 5 places a few weeks ago, they're struggling to stay in this top 10. Son not helped by the fact he's got just 4 fixtures over the next 5 game weeks. Obviously, Spurs do blank in Game Week 34, but that's not an issue. I think if you're a Son owner, you can kind of hold him and look to make a decision on him come Game Week 34, so don't let that put you off. But yeah, City assets, again, no doubles for City in this period, which doesn't help them. Foden and De Bruyne Could it be time to move them on? And then you look at the players that aren't in this top 10 at all. You've got Cole Palmer, very highly owned, banging form. I certainly wouldn't be thinking about going without him over the next 4 game weeks, even if he doesn't have a fixed double in double game week 34. Bowen as well, not in the top 10. He was a popular enabler for game week 29 when loads of teams blanked. He's probably one that could be making way in some sides in order to find that route to Salah. Looking at forwards now then, and Haaland is top despite not having a double game week. 5 fixtures is enough to beat some of his counterparts that have 6, which just goes to show you how much of a world-class player he is. Solanke will be in a lot of teams, having got, some great fixtures in February and early March. He remains in second, and I think he's the sort of player that you need to stick by, even though we have seen a little drop in form. Now, in third place, we've got Chelsea's Nicholas Jackson. Great fixtures, including a double in 34, but we do need to be mindful. He's currently on 9 yellow cards, and if he picks up another yellow card before Chelsea's 30th game, then he would face a 2-game suspension. So he's not a player that I would encourage you to buy this week, but certainly in the coming game weeks, he could have that utility, even if his finishing isn't as clinical as some of his other counterparts. Kuna expected to be back from injury for game week 30. He's going to be a key player with a lot of injuries stacking up at Wolves. Bags of potential, particularly looking at that double game week 34. Obviously, we've got Villa to get out of the way this weekend. I probably wouldn't buy him just yet. Watkins actually slipping down to 7th on this list. No doubles for Villa in this next little period. In fact, I don't think they double at all for the rest of the season. However, Watkins, he's been the most consistent Premier League player in FPL this season. So don't just sell him because other players have got more fixtures, because that isn't always going to pay off as your strategy. As I mentioned then, in game week 29, the AI decided to play the free hit, and it wasn't a disaster, mainly thanks to Burnley's David Fofana, who got an 8-pointer. We didn't go with Reguilon, instead went with a double up on Burnley defenders that I was very sceptical about, to be honest, but it wasn't a disaster. 27 points, a game week rank within the top million. Caesar's rise around to the 150k mark. So not a bad position to be in. Still got some chips to play. We've got the wild card and the bench boost. Chip strategy going forward is probably going to navigate game week 34 using free transfers, because the teams that double in 34 will be different to those that double later in the season, and then look to wildcard in either game week 35 or 36 in preparation for a bench boost in game week 37, which is going to be another big double game week at the end of the season. So that's the plan. Moving into game week 30 then, 1 free transfer, 1.7 million in the bank. I'm recording this video on Tuesday. Currently 5 players flagged with injury. Still some games to play in the international break. Press conferences are going to be very important on Friday, but no one ruled out by any means. So probably got the squad depth at the moment to not have to worry too much. And that is backed up by the AI recommendations. The main recommendation is to roll the transfer this week, with the alternative recommendation to move out Alex Moreno for Harry Toffolo. Now, this seems like a little bit of a weird one, because Moreno hasn't been performing too badly. Toffolo doesn't double. I'll be interested to see when we hit game week 31 whether the recommendation will then be to go for Salah, who is a player that we can probably get to in 2 free transfers. He's going to be the key player going into game week 34. I've put in the chip strategy, so I think that will come into play more next week when kind of those onward predictions for game week 35 and beyond are less relevant, because that's going to be the wildcard window that we go with. Rolling the transfer then, this is the AI's Game Week 30 team selection. A tough goalkeeper decision. Dubravka at home to West Ham, Neto at home to Everton. By 0.1 predicted points, it's Dubravka that gets the nod, with Neto dropping to the bench. Moving on to the defence, and with 2 defenders flagged, it doesn't make this very easy, which makes Baldock and Taylor automatic selections for Fulham at home and Chelsea away. The AI currently choosing to play Gabriel away to City over Alex Moreno at home to Wolves in that derby, with Trippier also on the bench at home to West Ham. Now, I suspect that some of these predictions may change if those flags disappear or indeed improve. So that's one to keep an eye on. The defence not looking its strongest at the moment, but you look at the form of defenders in FPL right now and there are no real standouts, so we don't need to be too concerned there. Into the midfield then, we've got Son, Foden, Gordon, Bowen and Saka, all making the midfield. Saka down at a 3.6 predicted points, given the fixture and the injury concern there for him. And then up front, it's Haaland at home to Arsenal on 7.4 predicted points, alongside Solanke on 5.4 points, with Archer potentially coming back from injury on the bench. He is our 8th attacker, but he is that cheap budget player that enables the strong 11. Now, when it comes to captaincy, this is really, really interesting because we've got level on predicted points as things stand, Haaland and Son. So there is a bit of a decision to make from the AI. Interestingly, Haaland captain is what it's gone with, despite those equal predictions. If you're a Salah owner as well, he also is on 7.4 predicted points at home to Brighton. So again, I'll be locking in this final team on Friday at 4 o'clock. Once we've had the press conferences, by that point, we may see a little bit of fluctuation to separate these players in this captaincy conversation. But it is going to be a tough week, and it does feel like a week if you're chasing to not go with Haaland. This side currently 150k. I think it's fine to back the Norwegian. 89% is the team rating, 59.5 predicted points. The final team will be on the Fantasy Football Hub website on Friday afternoon, so look out for that. And if you've enjoyed looking at the AI transfers, you can get your own team rating using the link in the description to this video. Give it a like if you've enjoyed it and subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you for watching.